Okay, morning folks. Morning from London. Just a quick sound check, make sure we're coming through okay this morning. Good, thanks Glenn. Morning Big Dave, Guntar, good morning. Morning Hunt Cree, MJ. Good morning all. Katie 2. Okay folks, here we are again, first Friday of the month. A non-farm payroll. It's been the talk of the town all week, everyone talking about the non-farm payroll. I don't know if it's going to be that big a deal. We'll see. Of course, I'm just going to touch on that. Obviously, Tony will be on later giving a full review on it. But as far as I can see, the non-farm payroll numbers, the job numbers itself, are not the main component of this of these releases. It's more, I think, the average earnings component. Let's just put it across, shall we? So quite frankly, it is this component here, I think, that is the more important. So the average earnings, this is the month on month, going for 0.3 year on year, that equates to 2.4. For some reason, Forex Factory don't put that on, but we are, so the average earnings year on year is 2.4, which is a slip down from last month, which is 2.5. This is the main component, I think. The actual job numbers itself. I mean, ADP missed slightly this week. I think, but it's not. But it's almost so accurate to get these numbers these days. I think it's not such a big shock horror. So people tend to hit certainly retail hit the fastest fingers first on the actual release of the actual number. But you need to delve in a little bit deeper. So sometimes it's worth waiting if you are going to be trying to get in there quick on a move. I mean, if you looked at, I was looking at the Bank of England report yesterday. When the announcement came out, markets moved. You're not going to get.
The European cash open stick.
You're not going to get away. Wait a couple of minutes, digest, and then continue on with the main momentum of it. But it's the average earnings and the revisions that you need to be looking at more than anything. As opposed to the unemployment rate, as opposed to the actual headline number, which always used to steal the show. But equally important, I think, what we should be looking at again today for opportunity is what's going on in the CAD, in the Canadian. Okay, so obviously this always gets sort of like swamped by the US, but this is a big big event for the Canadian market as well, Canadian dollar as well. And bearing in mind they have just recently raised their interest rates. Bearing in mind the last time they raised interest rates back in 2010, they followed it up with two more successive hikes in the next 2 months. So there could be some opportunities, away from all that initial noise, to look at some potential CAD plays. So do keep an eye on that as well. So it's not just the US releasing today all those numbers, but sure enough. Could be a big day. Let's have a look at how markets could possibly react. I don't know what Tony's going to be doing himself. For me, I think the play has got to be against the yen today, but Tony might have a different idea. For me, any poor number, if we miss targets on average earnings, then this could cement the downward pressure that we've seen in the dollar. Well, pretty much all year, but certainly in the last sort of like couple of weeks, it's sort of like accelerated. Let's just, this is basically we've got since the peak in middle of June, 11th of June. Obviously we've been down significantly since the beginning of the year, but beginning of the year we've come back down, from 118 or so, but more significantly. Recently we've had the fallout. If you look at the dollar actually against the index, sorry to scoot around the screens here, but the fallout we've seen, sort of like certainly, once we broke that sort of Trump candle, we've had the acceleration of the dollar. Now this weak number could cement that. A weak number. This is another. I think there's another 2 numbers before the Fed meeting, before the September meeting, where they might potentially move. So you got August. So September. So this is the 2 meetings. 2 more. You got September. This is the second one. This one, and then the second one. And yeah, I mean, my target for the downside is on here. Is coming back in. Sorry, I'm just I'm messing around with the screens, aren't I? Okay, so my target to the downside on numbers missing today. I think the initial stalling point, if the numbers are bad, you can see this spike down, and I'm looking at basically the 109 sort of 30 to 50 area. Okay, so I'll just put that in there, but it's basically the 109 to 30 to 50 area. Anything in this zone here, I think is where you're going to find the first stalling point on any weak number. Once we break down there, then of course markets are going to be looking at back to 108.75, and sure enough, if we break these levels, then longer term, we're going to be heading back down to the 105 zone. I think so. This is it's a potential, not today of course, but there's a potential to see low 109s. Any strong number, a good number, I think is going to have less of a positive impact, and I would expect certainly no more than 111.50 today on any strong number. And in fact, any strong number of up to 111.50, knee-jerk reaction. There's definitely a lot of outflows of the US dollar recently. There's also shorts created there. Any outflow might see a bit of any profit taking might see us up to 111. 111.50 was got to be a selling opportunity for me. So I think up to 111 really, quite frankly. I think knee-jerk reaction, I'll be looking to sell into that. So and we'll see how the numbers pan out. But I think that's the best way to play it. I mean, you're looking at the euro dollar. Euro's continues to grind higher for its own fundamentals. This is not just dollar weakness. This is actual euro strength as well. Some sound data coming out of the US, out of the eurozone recently. Well, all parts of the eurozone really, and obviously tapering talks. So this has got the euro strength coming into it. So we're just playing the dollar on the announcement. The yen, I think, the safe haven currency, flat yielding, unlikely to move, is the better play. But any weak numbers, we'll see this push up to, certainly back up through 119.50. Okay, the target, magnetic target, the initial target is 119.30. Then of course you've got the magnetic target. I could call it the magnetic target, but back up to 120. It's going to get drawn into there on any poor numbers out of the US. So basically, poor numbers means a weaker dollar. Weaker dollar means the dollar comes down, which means the euro goes up against it, which is why this would push up higher. For those that don't follow that too closely. And on the other side of that, of course, I need a really strong number. Anything back down to 1770. I think you need to see a really strong number to see this break this key support level. I think in here, and even then, I think that would be a buying opportunity. So buying into a strong number where this would fall back would be a possible idea or way to trade it. So let's have a quick look at the what's the radio thing I always like listening to, Glenn? Yeah, I have I have Rand Squawk. I've had that for years. I think it's a paid service. Well, it is a paid service. I don't know what the cost is now. I don't really look at that side of the account. It's not considerable, but it's a cost. There are other squawks available that you don't have to pay for. I think Jason uses Financial Juice. There's a good squawk on there. Financial Juice. UICE financial juice. Yeah, there's one you could possibly look at. I think it's free, so check that one out. Raise rates for the first time in 7 years. That's right, yeah. So the last time they raised it in 2010, basically they went bosh, bosh, bosh 3 times in 3 successive months. So that's what I was thinking. That's what I was talking about the CAD. Okay, so let's just have a look. I still think that the euro is still performing currency at the moment, and it's the top of the tree in terms of strength. I've just taken a trade idea. I've taken a trade on. In fact, I've taken it on the streaming account and on my other account on the euro Oz. Have a quick look at that now. Now I am long the euro, as I am short Aussie yen as well. So this is my maximum exposure. I don't know if you follow my trade ideas from early on the week. We are at break even now. Stops at break even on the Aussie yen. So well, let's have a look at the Aussie yen first. Aussie yen. So we're still short this from early on in the week, from Monday I think it was, from the trade idea. We missed take profit targets. I missed it. Some people, Glenn for example, was able to take profits early. This happened when I was off my screens assembling a trampoline, would you believe? So I didn't actually see it move down. Had I been there, had I seen this, I mostly would have just grabbed the profit with 4 pips to take profit, but it stalled. Just because it would have looked quite nice, but I'd failed to, and it's moved up over the Asian session. But I'm happy with it. I'm not gonna chase it now. I'll let it run out to my take profit target on the downside. Expecting Oz to weaken up now into the weekend, and yen to possibly show some safe haven flow. So I'm still going to continue to keep this short. Now, if you're not short, if you haven't followed me this week. Okay. This pullback that we're seeing here now into this previous support base for for a day, pretty much that half of that day, and into the Asian session and back here. It's a significant level of support and of previous support and now resistance. So as we come back into here now, I've just put the grey zone in. Okay. This, if you're not short, you might want to think about getting a short off here. So that's the trade idea. I didn't put it in because I've already got one running, but this is an equally good opportunity. Possibly, in hindsight, possibly better than the Aussie, than the Euro Oz. But the Euro is still is performing well in its own right, and the correction we've seen in the Euro is just sort of like a healthy correction. So yes, so the Aussie yen. If you're not short Aussie yen, possibly short Aussie yen here. Right, let's have a look at the Euros trade idea. Okay, so basically I'm at entry at the moment, a couple of pips away. Pull back into. This is the momentum behind the euro. It's got some good big momentum there. Remember the RBA this week reasonably dovish. The only reason why the Aussie dollar is so strong is because of commodity prices, iron ore and what have you. Iron ore is having a bit of a breather, I'm looking for this trend to continue on. So this is a pullback, healthy pullback. This is the 4-hour chart, still nicely fanned out moving averages. Gives me the confidence behind this trend, and this is a pullback into previous support, previous resistance, now new support. So that's why I've taken that trade. Coming into 149.09. So if you're not in it for my entry, which was at 49.06, I'm actually in a bit higher up. But on my other account, I'm actually in at doesn't matter. I'm actually in at 49.12 on my other account. Yeah. But this is just this is the streaming account, and we put it in at 149.06. And as we come down, so I like the look of this. We've got RBA minutes later tonight, pretty much when everyone's off their screens, expecting certainly them to talk down their currency once again, as they like to continue to do. And I'm expecting the euro to continue on its upward momentum, especially and it's had a good move. We've had some good moves in the euro yen. This is also shaping up, for another re-entry. This has been a good trade this week. Broke out of. This was a really significant level of resistance on the upside, and we've fallen back into that resistance, and that's the surefire place where it was always going to bounce. And what's my target for the Aussie yen? Okay, Doctor, come back to that in a sec. So we've fallen back into the into Asia, and sure enough, just bouncing from that. This could continue pushing highs again. So looking for a test out and breakout of the highs in the weekly highs, to take us to our target in euro yen, which is up there at 131. 132 for all intents and purposes. 132. 168, one extension from my levels, which have been roughly drawn, so I don't know if they're accurate to the pip. Takes you up to about 131.90. So I think that's where I'll be looking to take this pair to if we break out. Well, I mean, even pulling back here now. I think pulling back here now is a decent entry. You can afford yourself certainly a 50 pip stop with a 100 pip TP. I mean, you can even. I mean, the stops have got to be 50 pips. Yeah, got to be below this, below the session lows yesterday. Into here. I mean, depending on what time frame you tend to trade. I mean, if you want to take it out further, you'd take it out. Take it out 100 pips and shoot for 150 to the upside. But on a 1 hour time frame, I think logical to have 50 pip stop. It still gives you a good target. I mean, you get a 1-to-1 just by hitting the recent highs, but then of course if you want to take to the extension level, you can even exit in 2 parts. Cut one half out at this point and half out at that point. Gives you a better risk reward. I don't tend to do that too much, but it's certainly something you could possibly do. So euro yen to the upside, still liking that one. What was my target on Aussie yen? Aussie yen to the downside is 20. I think it's at 141.27. I think it is something down there. I beg your pardon. 87.27 on the Aussie yen. So we're looking at 27. Yeah, 141. Where's that come from? So 87.27 for my target for there. It's been in there. I missed it by just a few pips. Dr. Pipper. So yesterday, pound had its fallout, as we were predicting on yesterday morning stream, pretty much to the T. We talked about going for 6 to 2. Also mentioned how I thought it was just unfathomable. That's why I was not an MPC member, you will recall. Why they could even consider raising rates in such an environment where economic growth is likely to be downgraded, where wage growth continues to be stagnating, retail sales are nothing are weak. Inflation's coming back from a 4-year high to 2.9 to 2.6% last time out. And the thought of them squeezing, and Brexit talks as well. The thought of them squeezing the population even further at this fragile state was just unfathomable. Although Nomura Bank were sticking their necks out and saying that they're going to go for a hike. I mean, the only reason why they could possibly have hiked was that the last drop was on the Brexit announcement. They pulled it back by 25 basis points, and they could have reversed that. That's what they were calling for. But there was just no real reason for it. And but the pound had been grinding higher into it. Pound had been looking for the hawkish just because of Carney had been flip-flopping between not changing to possibly changing, and then a few of the other MPC members are coming out on a hawkish tone. So pound was getting bid into it, and we've had a sharp realisation that the rates are not going to move anytime soon in the UK. So there's been an unwind certainly of that position. Now, as I said, I was off the desk at the time, but I was on my iPad watching it, and I just dropped in the room. Best way to play is shorting pound yen, and I still think that's the way to play that. Pound yen and even pound CAD. But let's have a quick look at pound yen. I think pound yen is preferred play over the dollar because the dollar has its own has its own negative bias as well. And I think this is the better play to continue on this. And I think, quite frankly, we've had this move, consolidation. I mean, there's every possibility, technically wise, while this could just continue now to roll back again, just come and test out these lows from. That's only 70 pips away, but I'm looking back down at here at the 142 area now as the rate. As the rate hawkish tone sort of like drifts away, the Brexit negotiations are not going anywhere at the moment. Data in the UK is still remaining soft. So this could, once we take out these levels of 144, could see that back down at 142. So pound yen, I think is a preferred way to play that at the moment. So we'll be looking for entries in there. If you want to take an entry short or looking at something to do imminently, then well, let's. The way I always do this is, taking the breakout. Where is the breakout from this? I think the breakout really is here. This is where this is like the support level. If you look, bit of congestion, bit of to and throwing around this level. Okay, I think that's when you break here. If you follow my mouse, breaking here, that's when it's basically going into bear territory. And 50% of that move, ironically enough, pulls you back into this congestion here at this base. So if we were to pull back up to 145, which is only 25 pips away, so I'm going to definitely keep an eye on that. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that level for myself. I don't know, my alerts have stopped working on the streaming platform. I'm going to have to put it on my other one. So that's definitely an area of interest for me. If it pulls back up to that level, I'll be looking to take a short in pound yen. The other interesting pound cross I'm looking at is the pound CAD. Just drag out this, to be honest, first. Okay, Canadian dollar is catching some interest. It's it has been a decent, strong currency. Okay, it's having a pullback now, which is giving me the opportunity, I think, for to take advantage of that with against a weak pound. Okay, so there's two sides of that working for you at the moment, or could potentially work for you at the moment. So I think it's very possible that this could just basically roll back over. This is the long-term downtrend. This is the 4-hour chart on the downtrend. This is the run-up into the hawkishness and a bit of CAD weakness coming in here as well. But this is the move I'm looking at, and I think if you look at the move from the high to the low. Okay, we've broken now. We've come up. We've traded back up. We've tested the 50% retracement, and it's come back down through there now. So anything back up into here, for me, is a sell. Anything in this area here, that's the 4 hours, so it's a higher time frame. But anything in here is a sell for me. Going back to the 1 hour now for looking for more precise entries. Yeah, I mean, this is 166, a definite sell, and that's a long way away to get back up there. I mean, even taking it closer now, I think this has the potential to continue rolling back over. This consolidation phase could see this resume the trend back down to 74, 73, something like that. So I'm keeping an eye on pound CAD in particular, out of all the crosses. What do I think about dollar yen? I've been speaking about dollar yen from the get-go, Arjit. I think dollar yen is the... What's your target? Yeah, I think dollar yen is... yeah, I mean, if you can play the stream back, I spoke about dollar yen from the beginning. It's got its the way I'll be playing the non-farm payroll, and I put some levels on the chart. I'll just put it back up for those that have joined late then. So this is where I expect us to be trading on a bunch of numbers today. This is all non-farm payroll related today move, and I think the dollar has had its fair share of negative press. This could cement the downward momentum, and I'm looking for that to roll back over. I'm not getting too excited about strong numbers in this because it's just one batch of numbers, and I think any dollar strength that you see against the yen should be considered a sell into, certainly if you get up to the 111 area. So that's what I'll be looking at in the dollar yen. But if you play back the stream after I've finished, it takes about 3 minutes to process, and then you can play it back. I think, or maybe it takes longer, I don't know, but certainly in the next 20 minutes it should be available. Alright, the other trade I'm in actually is the Euro Swiss, and I really still, I might get, we took some money on this in the week, if you remember, if you were following me. I don't know if you follow the trade ideas or not, but I'm not saying you should follow them, but it's always worth looking at people's trade ideas, certainly to see what other people are thinking. That's presumably why you're on the stream now, I guess. But I like this. I like the Euro Swiss. I think the Swiss are continuously negative interest rates, continuously talking it down. There's been a definitely breakaway from the pegging over the last few months. The Swiss is now is definitely under pressure, and not more so than against the euro. Now we're long from perfect entry actually. I don't always get them like this one, but we basically went along at this pullback. So we're long in at 114.60. So we are a few pips up at the moment, 40 pips up or so. My target on here for continuation. This is a consolidation phase. Yeah. If you're not long this one at the moment, I still would consider it. Yeah. It's got to, it's at that psychological level at the moment, 115. But if this breaks away, then it takes out the weekly highs, then we could be off to the races. Yeah, and if I'm wrong, even from these levels, even from these levels now, and your stops are where my entry is, where my stop is, then even now you've got a decent risk reward on that. Well, even if you flick a coin, if you flick a coin, you're going to get 50-50. Yeah, this is better than 50-50. The trend is in your favour. You get a better odds as well. You can weight the coin in your favour. This has got to be a decent trade to possibly consider again. I'm in it anyway. I'm not going to get further along. I'll let it do what it has to do. Made some money on it early on in the week from the trade idea, and this trade idea is also currently live. So some of you are following me with that as well. So good well done to you if you are. Aussie, New Zealand. Actually, it's not doing very much. I was expecting this to be honest, I hadn't looked at this morning. I was expecting this to see a bit more of a bit more clarity. I haven't looked at this for a few days. Not really. Flatlining, isn't it? Technically it's a long trade, but I haven't got the full big bias behind that, to be honest, at the moment. Technically it is, but I just I'm short Aussie. Maybe my bias is coming in. I don't mean it to, but I'm short Aussie elsewhere. But against the New Zealand, it could be a buy if you're trading those currencies. But I haven't got any real conviction on that, so maybe I shouldn't have pulled it up. All right, folks, I'll leave it there. Non-farm payroll and Canadian at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, which is 4 hours from now. 5 hours from now, indeed. And Tony comes in and we'll be streaming live. Always a good event. He seems to manage to pull some pips out of the market. I I like to listen to Tony as well. I'll tell you what we haven't done for a few days. We'll just have a quick look at them now. Here's trade ideas. Let's get some trade ideas going. Not been many trade ideas coming in. Jason's got a trade idea from his stream. What's he doing? He's short euro pound. Okay, so short euro pound at 90.34, stop loss 90.60, 89. Yeah, it's decent risk reward. And the idea behind the trade is he's sell short idea of euro pound. This is a shorter term trade that may play well during the Asian and early London sessions to non-farm payroll later in the day. No major news scheduled. I expect a pullback near to the target for a nice risk reward. Let's have a look. Could be. Not one. I mean, he could be right. Who knows? I mean, let's have a look here. Not doing very much at the moment. We're in 1934. Basically bang on exactly where we are now, isn't it? 1934. 10 hours ago, hasn't done anything. To the tip, I looked at my screen, it's trading 1934, and looks at the idea, it's trading 1934. Yep, okay, could possibly. So that could pull back down into here. This is, you could have this retracement. Quite often, I think you find these momentum candles have consolidation and then a continuation, and you shake out a bit of the this price action tends to make me think that just getting rid of a few of the short-term bulls. The stops are out of the way, and could potentially move on. We could go either way. What's Professor doing? Long-term sell signal, pound, Oz, selling pound, buying Oz. Well, that's what makes a market. I think I'm completely the other way around on my trades. But there you go. Yeah. I'm not sure the reason. Obviously, we're range trading is what you're saying here, I guess. And we're just in the upward cycle of that range, I guess. So thanks for that. What about Mark B? I don't think I spoke to Mark B before. Euro Oz long. Well, we tend to like that. What's he doing here? Yeah, you're looking for a smaller degree of the fourth pin bar. The first, the fourth. I'm just looking down here. So you're looking for the smaller degree, fourth to pin bar, to channel, and to continue up the larger fourth channel break. Okay, yeah, good. Well, I hope you're right, because it coincides with my trade idea in terms of direction. So let's hope you're right. If you, I don't know if you, I point it out now and again. Yep, okay, got it, Mark. So I'm just reading your chat as well now. Yep, got it. Nice idea. Pull back. Oh, pull back. I thought it was a pin bar. I was looking at that pin bar you had. Okay, let's have a look at it again. Sorry about that. Oh, pull back to blue. I've got you. Pull back to that little channel and then take up. Okay, got it. Well, let's hope you're right. I don't know where your pullback is. Not too far, hopefully. For me, anyway. But pullback, yeah. Silly me. Friday. If you want to find out a little technique, what other people are thinking about your particular currency pair, so you can see here Mark and myself are both on the Euro Oz. I mean, it's a little technique. I mean, it only works if people start populating the trade ideas more so. But if you click on the actual currency pair, like the Euro Oz here, it pulls up all the recent Euro Oz analysis that people have been posting. Okay, and of course, something like the Euro Oz maybe is not so actively traded by us in here in the room. But some of the other pairs, you know, like the if you're trading the pound yen, for example, you see pound yen. There's a few trade ideas coming to the pound yen 15 hours ago, or it was only 4 days ago. No, Jason's as well. No, well, get the idea. If you want to look back in time to see, euro dollar normally is a better one. If you want to look back and see what other people are posting regarding your particular pair that you might be interested in, you might only have 2 or 3 pairs that you trade, and if that's the case, it's always good to see what other people are thinking. Doesn't mean you should follow them, and same with my ideas. I mean, it doesn't. I'm not posting these ideas for people to follow religiously. Had you followed my last 6 ideas, you would have made a nice chunk of change. But that's just because I've had a run of 6, could have a run of 10 losing. So I'm not saying. But what I'm saying is, it's a good idea to gauge what others are thinking. It doesn't mean you should necessarily follow them religiously. Someone's left a comment on my trade idea, so let's have a look and see what someone has said. Holding through non-farm payroll. I'll be holding this through non-farm payroll. Yeah. Yeah. So I will be Dr. Pepper. Yeah. So that's a comment there. I've had, if you like someone's comments, you can all like it if you like it by showing a little heart thing, little trick there. Morphs, what's he got here? Gosh, this is a strength meter of 1.5, isn't it? I think I recognise this one. I think I recognise this chap, this strength meter. I think this is, when was this posted? An hour ago, and this is on the 1 hour. You just pull up my strength meter for a sec. I just want to see what strength meter you're using. I've got 2 that I use. I've had coded for me. Yeah, basically you're using, he's using, I had one coded similar, I've got one coded similar. This is done on basically an index, it's not done on moving average, this one. Anyway, nice little one. I don't know if you pay for that one. Mine's of course is free. Cost me a few dollars to get coded many years ago, but I don't mind, I'll give it away for nothing. Live market update on the 1 hour. Okay. Oh, what I do like about this, I guess, is this. I mean, shows you the numbers. Is it actually? Do they mean anything? No, not really for me. I prefer seeing the direction of the trend, direction of the lines. I think that's more important than this, really, where they're heading. Than that. Personally, that's just the way I've been using it for the last 8 years or so. Right, so that's my idea. That's Morph Smart B Euro Yen long. Oh well, where we are, we've got some agreement here. I'm talking about this one long myself. Info on the chart. 15-minute time frame. Buy, stop loss, good take profit target. Very risk reward. I'm getting to think you've got a few of these risk rewards, with such a high risk reward ratio. Nothing wrong with that at all. Great when they come off. You just have to be patient when they don't, because it can be sometimes a bit soul destroying having such a high risk reward, unless of course you start moving up, unless you start trading up the trading up your stop into profit. Perfectly acceptable way of doing it. Once you get to 1-to-1 possibly, 1.5 to 1, 2 to 1, just trade it up, close it in. There's a technique used by many. Okay, folks. Why are you selling Aussie when it's blue across strength? Aussie for me is in the middle, quite frankly. It's here in the middle. It's not. It's been a nothing currency all week. Aussie's been it's got some negative fundamentals behind it, and fundamentally, it's. I think coming into RBA tonight, it's likely to roll back, and it's languishing there in the middle. I think so. That's why I'm short there. But yeah, I mean, to answer Dr. Pip, it's not. It might not be the best pair to trade, but certainly on two positions I have now, might not be the best currency to trade. You're right. I mean, I think pound is certainly weak. I think the CAD is pushing back. CAD is showing signs of strength. So yeah, I mean, if you look at the 1 hour on the Aussie is looking strong. It's there. It's not. I mean, but look at it. It's just flatlining. It's just there because the others are coming down. The others are drifting back. This is not Aussie strength. This is just weakness of the correction of the euro, pulling back of the dollar, because the Aussie is doing nothing. It just happens to be on the top, but I don't necessarily think it hasn't got that move, is it? It's not accelerating up. It just happens to be above because of the pulling back of the others. So that's basically why. But it's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I don't always get it. The visuals right on it, and you're right to ask that question, because on the surface of it, it looks like a strong currency. But if you look at it further out, it's still still a weaker currency, and euros by far. Aussie's coming down on the daily, pushing up on the daily. Same on the 4 hour. But valid question. Right, folks, I'll leave it there. We've got, as I say, Jason's coming on. Tony will be coming on just before the NFP, about half an hour before. I'll be in the room all day chatting. I'll certainly be in the room for NFP as well. And I'll be back online when Australia is sleeping. And we're coming into the close for London, afternoon for US. So in the meantime, keep the trade ideas coming, keep the chat flowing. And I'll speak to you soon.